Good morning and welcome to the Develop Day 2 of Lesson 8, and where we're going to really tackle developing some strategies to write decimals in different forms. This is going to include word form and expanded form up to the thousandths place value. So that's the place value, three place values after the decimal to the right. So we're looking at part of numbers. Okay, let's get started. So this is a very similar warm-up to what we did on Monday. I want you to use this graphic organizer that I've put on this slide, and I want you to represent the number 0.28 in different ways. We're only going to do 3 ways today. So in a place value chart, in expanded form, and in word form. So if you could write down on your piece of paper what your place value chart would look like. Write down what your expanded form would look like, and then select which one would be your word form to represent 0.28. So we are going to tackle this problem. What I need you to do, as you can see on this slide, I need you to turn to your workbook in volume 1 on page 149. Now remember, our try it problem, like we did on Monday, this is a try it problem, or on Monday or Tuesday, that you are going to tackle to try to solve it. That is why it is called a try it. Our very first step before we attack a problem is we need to make sense of it. So we're going to get really good at this. I'm going to read it 3 times, and we're going to answer our 3 key questions before we tackle this problem. All right, here we go. This is page 149. You can do all your work in your workbook. Josh uses a kitchen scale to weigh some blueberries. The blueberries weigh 0.604 pound. Josh's mom wants to know how much the blueberries weigh. How does Josh say how much blueberries weigh? Explain your thinking. Time for our first question. What is the problem about? Remember, this question focuses on who and what is going on in the problem. Second read. Josh uses a kitchen scale to weigh some blueberries. The blueberries weigh 0.04 pound. Josh's mom wants to know how much the blueberries weigh. And how does Josh say how many blueberries weigh? Explain your thinking. Question 2. What are you trying to find out? What is the question asking you to do? Here's a hint. Find the question mark. That's usually where the question is. Third and final read. Josh uses a kitchen scale to weigh some blueberries. The blueberries weigh 0.604 pound. Josh's mom wants to know how much the blueberries weigh. How does Josh say how much blueberries weigh? Explain your thinking. Last and final question. What piece of information from this question do we need to be able to answer what we're trying to find out? Now it's your turn. I want you to try to solve this problem. Take some time, and I want you to enter in what you believe you think the answer is and how Josh will say how many blueberries or how much blueberries weigh. All right, discuss it. This is my favorite part. So this week we've been talking about turning and talking, but today I am your partner. And guess what? I lost in rock, paper, scissors. Therefore, you have just asked me to share my thinking, and I am going to share how I solved this problem. After I share, I want you to write in the comments, do you agree with me? Why or why not? Please do not forget to explain why you agree or why you don't agree. Okay, so to discuss it today, what I want you to do is to share your thinking with me. So I'm going to share how I solved it, and I want you to be thinking, do you agree with me or do you disagree? And then explain why or why not. So what I did to solve this problem is I drew a place value chart. I have my ones, I have my decimal, tenths, hundreds, and thousands, and I put in our number from our problem, which was 0.604. So I knew there was those 3 digits, so I had to go all the way to the thousands place value. Now, when I thought about to turn this into a word form, I thought to myself, if I also look at this like this would be 600 and 4, if I was to say that if it was actually a whole number. So I knew that I had to say 600, and then I say the 4, but I have to make sure that I say the thousandths because this last digit falls in the thousands place value. So in a place value chart, it would look like this. Word form, I would say 604 thousandths. So I also thought, I'm like, what's one more way that I could do this? So this might make sense as well. Since 0.64 has 3 digits to the right of the decimal, it can be written as a fraction over 1,000 as a denominator because the 4 ends in the thousands place value. So what I wrote was 604 over 1,000. So that also goes back to how I'm going to justify why I believe that Josh in our word problem can say this problem or say this number in a word form as 604 thousandths. Do you agree or disagree? All right, now that we've shared our thoughts, all right, model it. Here is one way that you can model how to say this number. If you turn to your workbook, you can follow along with me because you're going to definitely need to go back to this to be able to answer our connected problems in just a moment. But using a place value chart is one way to write expanded form. And this is a way that we'll be able to read the number. So our first strategy is with decimals. So here's our decimal that we were given that Josh used to weigh the blueberries. I put an equal sign and there's a 0.6. 6 is in the tenths place value. You can see how they match up. I don't have any hundredths, so I don't have to add that here. I do add my 4 thousandths because 4 is in the thousands, and you'll see that I have the 2 zeros here. So adding those two decimals together would come up with a sum of 0.604. The other way we can write expanded form is actually stretching it out a little bit more and writing the 0.1, which is in the power of tenths, in multiplying it by the standard number that is in that place value. So we pulled out the 6, and that's a whole number, times this decimal part, which is the tenths, plus 4 as your whole number, times 1 in the thousandths. We could also write this as fractions because when we say 1/10, we're actually talking about 1 over 10, and that's where you get your 6 as your whole number. So 6 times 1/10 would equal 6/10. We don't have anything in the hundredths, and then 4 times 1 over 1,000 would be 4 1,000ths. And if we add these up, we are now have a 3-digit number over 1,000, which is 604 thousandths. That was a short mini lesson on expanded form, 2 different ways, decimal and with fractions. Another way we can model it is the way that I shared when I did the discuss it, is using a place value chart. Did you use a place value chart? If not, what strategy did you use? Right here, I used a place value chart. I love making this because this is something that even if I don't have it in front of me, I can actually write this down. So I wrote my ones, my tenths, my hundredths, and my thousandths, and I plugged in my numbers. All right, and I know that the least place value in this number is in the thousands, so I must make sure that that place value is in my word form when I turn this into 604 thousandths. If I don't add that THS at the end, someone might think that you are talking about a whole number and not a part of a number because now we have that decimal. This is all on page 150 that explains how to model it. Okay, now it's time to take what I've modeled and what I've kind of explained in this short little mini lesson to develop your strategies and make a connection. Here's your first question. Using this place value chart, I want you to look at it. What are the names of the 4 place values in 0.604? So what place values are represented in this number? Then, which of those places has the least also means smallest, value? This is on workbook page 150, and you can actually write in your answers and then enter them into the Edpuzzle. Okay, now it's your turn to apply what you know. The apply it is only on developed days. So usually 2 days of the week, 1 to 2 days, we will actually apply what we have developed in our lesson. So what I want you to do is on workbook page 152, you are also going to enter it here, but use one of the strategies we modeled today, which was expanded form or the place value chart. And I want you to enter what is the word form of 0.374. Then explain your thinking of how and what strategy you used. Your last apply it problem today is another what is the word form of 8.057. Now you'll see, don't get tricked up that you have a whole number in front of your decimal. The decimal point in word form, you're going to use the word and. So blank and blank blank, whatever place value. All right. Good luck on the second developed day, or the first developed day, and we will continue our work when I see you in person, the next in-person learning.